Welcome to Inside Photo Organizing, from DIY to Pro, with Allison Friedman from Arrange Wander Focus of Chicago, Illinois. And I am Susan Wallach from Save a Memory of Northern Colorado. Together, we will provide photo organizing tips and tricks for everyone, from the person who wants to do it yourself to other pros in our industry. We'll discuss current software and hardware news about photo and digital asset management. We will be answering your questions, and we hope that as you learn more, you can complete your own photo organizing project and feel more confident to finally know, hey, I can find that special photo that I've been looking for. Good morning, Allison.
Good morning, Susan. How are you? Did you have a good weekend?
I did. It was lovely here. We had a little bit of rain, but then we also had some interesting solar things going on. So Friday night, while we were at our virtual conference earlier, I decided I was going to drive north and find some dark country road and see if I could shoot the Aurora Borealis. And I did capture a few images. But what's fascinating to me is that at least where I was at and the time of day and the situation, I could not see the colors in the sky. I could see faint white, striations of light coming in. And it wasn't until I captured it on my devices and hit playback that I could actually see the colors. And then I was blown away. So, what's interesting to me is when people say it's visual to their, they can see it visually, all the colors. I don't know where they're located, but did you go out and try that?
Yeah, they're probably further north. So I was lazy and did not. We did get them here in Chicago, but it was late at night and I am a very early morning person. So unless someone was going to drag me out there, plus I have seen them before. I've seen them in Canada and I've seen them in Iceland. And even in Iceland, where the colors were incredibly bright, they are tenfold brighter through your camera lens. And I think it has to do with the exposure, the longer exposure, et cetera. I mean, the ones I've seen pictures, the ones here were beautiful, but they weren't nearly as bright as what I've seen elsewhere. And here, part of the reason is light pollution in Chicago. But it was pretty cool, actually. I think one of my kids went out late. I didn't really want to know because it was like 2:00 in the morning and they're not supposed to be out at that time. So I'm not sure if they were going to tell me that. But yes, it was cool. It was, unusual. I like unusual things. I did that for the eclipse that I actually, went out and took a look at. But anyway, it was great. But I'm excited to be here Monday morning. We almost always tape on Monday mornings, which is why we are discussing our weekend. But this week we have Robert Marks, who has a very cool new product, new-ish. No, probably still call it new, called Projector, which we'll be talking about. And just one little caveat is when we bring people on the show that are, have a product that they would like to talk about, we only do it when we really, really like it. So that is why Robert is here. He's not a sponsor of the show. He just has a product that we really like. So let us welcome Robert Marks. And Robert, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? And then we'll talk about videos and preserving videos and your cool app called Projector.
Absolutely, Allison. And thank you both for having me. I am a husband. I'm a father of 4. I'm a son. I'm a sibling of 5 brothers. My wife has 4 sisters. Collectively, there are 17 plus 7, 24 grandchildren. We now have 8 great-grandchildren. So I have 8 great.
Wow,
oh my gosh, I'm getting tired listening to this.
3 on the way. And finally, our first set of twins that we know of in the history of the family. So when you have that many people, guess of all those people, who's the one who's responsible to keep all the photos and videos? This guy. And that's who I am. I've got a lot of videos, and I'm more video than I am photo, but I do keep them all pretty well organized and protected for the family. If someone says, hey, can you send us Dad's old van from 1974? I'm the one who sends it out in about a minute and a half. That's how organized I am.
Well, there's got to be somebody that's the family documentarian, the family keeper of the stories or the legacy. I've been listening to a podcast from another uh, uh, company called permanent.org that I listened to, and they were talking about certain things, and they're into making sure that somebody gets tapped on the shoulder to be that documentarian. And so it doesn't surprise me that somebody as techie as you is that person in your family. And now you've just kicked it up like 10 notches, because not only did you come up with a way to solve this for your family, but for everyone else. How do you keep this?
I have to say, though, that's a lot of people that you have to keep track of. I only have one brother and two kids. I'm just going to put that out there.
I think even our wedding family was 126 people before we could even start inviting friends. It's too many people, Allison, but it's fun too. Really
a lot of people.
Yeah.
So we first met you at our conference last year. So what are we now?
In Florida.
2023 in Florida. And you showed up as a vendor, and I had not heard of you. I had not heard of your product. I think it was very new. Maybe it was still in testing phase then. I'm not sure. Yeah. But you wowed all of us. And one of the things that as a photo manager, I know everybody was super excited about is not only did you have this really cool product, but you were also asking all of us for our feedback, and you actually listened to it. And that's one of the reasons I think that Susan and I wanted to have you on, is because you're such a collaborator with us. So tell us about Projector.
Well, first, to take you back to that year ago when I showed up at the first photo managers conference I attended, which was in Orlando, Florida. I've been trying to solve what I call the home movie viewing dilemma for decades. And during the pandemic, the early part of the pandemic, I figured out what I wanted to do. I figured out what the ultimate solution was. So the first thing I thought is, someone else thought of this. I'll go online, I'll go on the app stores, I'll find the 7 or 8 people who already did this, play with all of them and pick the best one. And no one had done it. There was nothing available. So I thought, I'm going to do it. It was the pandemic. And where I was at in life was a perfect time to do another startup. I am a techie engineer or entrepreneur startup guy. And I came up with this idea. And that's when I found out about the photo managers, reached out to the photo managers and Kathy Nelson, and I heard about this conference in Orlando. So when I showed up, where was I in the development? It was a concept car. You go to the car show and you see that really cool car where there's really no engine. The dashboard's plastic. There's no lights or real screens. That's what Projector, the idea was. I went there for validation. So yes, I wanted feedback, but I really needed to know, am I onto something with like-minded people who love home movies and photos? And I walked out of there saying, yes, you're onto something. And then we really kicked it in and started developing and getting this product launched, which I still think we're just kind of in that early stage of launching.
You faked it really well. I didn't think it was just the cover.
I do have to say, before we get into the nitty gritty, how difficult it is to manage videos, right? You're talking size, you're talking different formats across your life. If you started recording in the early, late 90s, early 2000s with digital cameras, or perhaps you got, one of the first iPhones, have different size formats, different qualities. And then you not only have to keep migrating it forward so that you can continue to watch it and that version of file format doesn't die, but it's just the amount of videos. I had so many videos that I can't tell you how much I'm paying Amazon currently. So once I can get these deduped and organized, they're going into Projector for me because of not only the cost, it's just management. Managing videos is a pain in the butt. Let me just say that.
It really can be. And remember, I am not a professional certified photo manager and video manager like you are, and the hundreds and hundreds of people inside the photo manager organization. I'm just I'm the guy in this very large family who's the one who stepped up and said, I like this stuff, I'll do it. Don't know if that's always a good thing, but sometimes I do have fun with it. But you had the old .avis and the .movs and the M4Vs and .mp4
or G3
Oh
GP3 or the
yeah,
G3P or
yes.
whatever. I mean, and until the manufacturers decided to settle on a format, it was the wild wild west out there with file formats. It was worse than with photos. Photos had already developed an established default JPEG, TIFFs. That landscape had settled. Video had not settled for probably 20 years. Don't you agree?
I do agree. And again, I'm not an expert here and I rely on the experts, but it's not just, hardware, it's software. Some software does it one way from
Exactly.
2002 versus a different software from 2019. And then you have this whole thing where I always say not all MP4s are the same. How is it made? Hardware, software, time frame. So even the same formats can be buggy. So here it is. I'm so naive to think I have this solution, which we'll dive into, to make home movie viewing easy. Because I do contest that whether it was on an old film with your parents setting up the projector and the big screen in the family room, if you're fortunate enough to have that experience, or VHS tapes, DVDs, thumb drives, hard drives, our phone, I contest it's never been easy to watch home movies, and I felt I had the right solution. So once I had the solution, I thought naively, how hard can it be? Well, everything you're talking about with file formats is one aspect of a lot of aspects. Why this endeavor I took on is extremely difficult.
Right,
And
exactly.
we
Which
have to
which
punch through it.
means you've done even more of an amazing job to wrangle in all of that kind of weird stuff that goes on. So, if you had known what you were getting into, you may not have. So naivety is great when you have these dreams, right?
Here's what I think the way you just said. When I go to bed at night and when I wake up, I do have some regrets. But then when the day starts, those 12, 14 hours, I'm all in and I'm so happy I did it. So yeah, those ideas do pop into your head because you really do take on a burden. And all of a sudden, people are counting on you. I now have two partners counting on me. And we have clients across the globe who are counting on us. There's a financial aspect to this. I have a development team who's counting on us to keep the doors open because this is how they're making money now. So
Right.
it's a lot and constant challenges. Developing a product like this, which we'll get into and why it can be so complicated. And then it won't mean anything. Sure, I solved the problem for my family, but I couldn't justify building Projector just for my family. So that's why I'm out here trying to get other families to use it because we all have to share those costs. There'd be no Google if one person in Seattle was the only one Googling.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Millions and billions of people doing it. And we don't need that many people, but we do need thousands to use it. And I think we have a solution that hopefully works for other families the way it's working for mine.
Well,
Then
first of all, what is Projector?
yeah,
Sure.
what
Tell
is
us what it
Projector?
is and what it does.
Yeah.
Projector is the Netflix viewing experience for your home movies. So, 50 years ago, you couldn't have your own TV channel broadcast into an antenna in your home to just watch your home movies. The technology would not allow that. 30 years ago, 20 years ago, you couldn't do it with cable TV and have your own cable channel on your cable station. So the same way you would watch sports on NBC and CNN for news and a movie on TNT, you wouldn't go to your own channel on your cable station and there's the Allison Freeman and Susan Wallach home movies. Not possible. Streaming apps changes that because it's very custom. So whether it's Netflix or whether it's one of these great new, live TV streaming apps, Sling, YouTube TV, DirecTV Stream, Hulu, Max, Disney Plus, they all kind of work the same, where you have a lot more control of anyone could launch a streaming app and make their own content. And everyone has done that. And they're either providing us with their own movies, old movies, or live TV, live news, live sports. And it just occurred to me, wait a minute, this is how we watch TV now. My family, we got rid of cable in 2016. You turn on one of our TVs and you see 8, 9 apps, because I have 4 children and we have just about every subscription of every app. It occurred to me as I've been trying to solve this home movie viewing problem, because all my stuff's organized and set on my computer drives and my Google Cloud drives. Wait a minute, why can't we have our own Netflix? It can look, feel, operate like a video streaming service. And I can upload it from a website. I can organize it in a very beautiful thematic way, the same way Disney Plus and Netflix and all the others do it. And all of a sudden, with the power of a remote control, a technology that whether you're 3 years old or 103, everyone on the planet is pretty much mastered. And with a few clicks, the same way we watch TV, we can watch our home movies. And now we're not dangling with projectors and VHS tapes and CDs and thumb drives. People literally had their old home movies moved to a thumb drive and told, just plug it into your smart TV. And can you imagine how that went?
Yeah, not
If
very
they
good.
did it once, that's a shocker. And if they still know where that thumb drive is, that may be a shocker too for some families. Now it's literally, you could put Netflix on any TV. So whether you own one TV or you own 5 properties with 50 TVs, anywhere in the world, just like you watch Netflix, you can watch your home movies on the Projector app. So think of it as Netflix for your home movies. But we're using Netflix technology. We're not in the streaming wars. I'm not competing with Game of Thrones and Bridgerton and whatever the next great thing is. This is the best content of all. It's your wedding video. It's your children being born. It's all those special occasions.
It truly is simple. My in-laws are a little bit tech challenged, a little bit. I'm pretty sure they had a Windows phone until like a couple years ago, which I don't even think exists anymore. But we set up as a holiday gift for them around Christmas time. I set up for them Projector, and I loaded a whole bunch of videos of the kids, at various ages, because they don't live anywhere near us. They're in Canada. And essentially we got on the phone, and I had my father-in-law plug in a Fire Stick because they hadn't had that before, and download the Projector app. And now they have all those movies, and I just upload them as I come across them. I add them to their stream, and even they can do it all, because they know how to pick up their remote. They know how to get to the app. And then once it's on, my mother-in-law told me she sometimes turns it on and just leaves it all day because they just keep playing. They just go from one to the next.
Alice, I don't want to bore people, but this is a mushy moment. But think of me. So I live in Cleveland, Ohio. So here's this guy just trying to solve a viewing problem in Cleveland, Ohio. And now I hear that about, your in-laws in Canada. And I'm hearing this from people in Utah and people in Australia and people in Poland. And I'm like, they're enjoying their home movies because of this idea that I came up with. It's so beyond rewarding and so cool. And that's why I'm so committed to keep it going. So thank you for that testimony.
Yeah, I mean, you could always, text or email these videos to them or whatever, but that is just a terrible solution. We've got graduation coming up for my son, so they're not going to be able to be here. So I will take some video there. The slideshow that I'm making for him will go up there, so they'll be able to see it essentially right when we get home, right when I get a decent enough signal to actually stick it up there. So it really does solve a unique need.
It does. And who wants to take a little phone and sit on a couch and watch family movies? You can't enjoy stuff like that. You want to enjoy it. Like, I don't want to sit in my office chair in front of my computer to watch my family movies. So this is that, experience you're pulling up while you're in the family room, and you can have, how many family in your people in your family? 35, 40, I don't know. I lost track. But anyway,
we're growing every day. Susan, when I tell people there's a place for everything, there's a place to do a quick text and send an old video or a new video to 6, 8, 10 people. There's a place for YouTube. There's a place for Facebook posts. But I always tell people those are one and dones. You're going to get it one time. You're never going to see it again. You're never going to find it again. And if you want it again, you got to go back to that original person. Remember that link you sent me 2 years ago? Can you resend it? They're like, I think so. But there's a place for that. And I still do it. And I'm on YouTube every day. And I send videos and photos almost every day. Projector's different. Projector is when you turn on that TV and you see that Projector app, you know that you have your memories right there at your fingertip with your remote. It's not a 5, 10, 15-second clip. It may be a 5-minute, 25-minute, 2-hour video. And it's just a peace of mind and knowing it's there and making it accessible. I tell people, and I hope I haven't told you guys this before, but I borrowed a buddy's camcorder when I got married because I didn't own a camcorder, and I recorded our honeymoon. And that sat on a videotape for 15 years. Around 13, 14 years ago, I converted it, and it sat on my computer for another 13, 14 years. And it wasn't until I launched Projector, I was the first account, put it on our Apple TV in our family room, handed my wife the remote, the Apple TV remote, and said, start using Projector. And the first thing she said to me is, you recorded our honeymoon? We had no idea. No idea. Sadly, the first scene is we're in a cruise ship when she's in the bathroom. So now I show that video to people and they always see her in the bathroom. And but
I'm sure she's very thankful for that.
But it brought it to life. And a one and done text was never going to do that. And this may sound even morbid, but all this stuff sat on my drives. If I left the planet, who was going into my iCloud, my Google Drive, my time capsule, which your guest last week, Paul, mentioned? I'm like, yes, someone mentioned a time capsule. I love my time capsule and my hard drive and get those precious memories. I actually think succession today may be more difficult than it was 10 years ago, where you could find your parents, grandparents' media in a box in the garage and a box in the basement and grab it. Now I worry no one's going to ever touch it. So at least being up there in Projector and some of the other great products out there, like MyLeo that I know, Allison, you know real well, and other products like that in Permanent, they're surviving. But I just wanted to solve the ability for my wife, my kids, my mom, my family to just easily watch them, whether they watch it every day or just during the holidays, doesn't matter. It's there now when they want it with a few clicks of the remote.
Yeah. So explain how people, can share and use your product. How do they get it up there? Talk a little bit more about some of the details of why somebody might be interested.
Sharing's an interesting thing that we could do a whole podcast on. I really believe that. But what we wanted is, okay, I can create a projector. I have myself, my wife, my 4 kids. I look at that as our immediate family unit. I have 5 brothers. I could put all their videos on my account with mine, and it's just a big collection of a mess. And do their kids and their kids' kids really want to see, my kids, T-ball game from, 2002? No. So I look at it as I would create a Projector account for my family. My brothers would create a Projector account for their families, but we can share them with each other. So literally, imagine you're on Netflix and you're watching all the movies Netflix has, and then you can literally switch to a different account, and every movie and every category and everything just changes to them. So literally, I could launch Projector on my TV, watch my videos, or I could switch to my mom's Projector, and then I'm seeing all her collection of stuff. And then she could do the same. And I can say, you know what? I don't want my mom to see everything, whether it's just not pertinent to her, or I want to keep it private. I can even make some videos private where only my family can watch. Or I can say my brothers and high school friends can see these videos, but my mom and my wife's sisters can't see it. I played high school basketball. I have like 30 games on tape. No one wants to see those except for my fellow teammates. So those I can just keep for them. So you do have control of who can see what. I think everyone knows when you first launch Netflix or most streaming apps, if you're in a family, you usually get that first screen that shows everyone's icon. Okay, it's Susan's, profile for Netflix. It's Allison's, It's Robert's. We really did Projector the same way. We actually copy that, but it works differently because instead of seeing the shows I like versus Allison, you actually see Allison's videos versus my videos. I hope that made sense. So what I'd call pretty advanced sharing. But what I realized, every time you upload a video in Projector, you decide, I stole this from YouTube. They use the word visibility. That's their word for sharing. And I thought, okay, I have the ability that only I could see it in my family. Everyone I share Projector with can see it, or I could limit it. And I always I've done over 180 videos of my own Projector account. Every single time I get to the point where I'm like, everyone can see it. Why am I hiding this from somebody? So I don't really do a lot of the restrictions, but we did develop those restrictions because they may be applicable. But I would tell anyone who uses Projector or photo managers who use Projector, really think, don't look at it the way we look at Facebook and we want 1,000 friends, and way we maybe look at other apps where we want to restrict things. This is very intimate. You're probably only sharing your Projector with really close family and really, really close friends. And are you really trying to hide it from them and keep it simple? You may only invite 3 people and let them see everything, and that seems to be the norm. You're not going to invite 500 people probably to see it. So there's a lot to sharing. I know I can go on for a long time, so I apologize if I just bored everybody, but it's really an interesting theory with Projector, how you share compared to YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the other things where we're trying to get massive likes and massive following.
Right. So
Projector's
when you talk about security, can you explain the sharing process so people understand? Because there's a lot of differences when apps say, oh, we make it easy to share your content. Well, some of it might be too easy and it gets into the hands of people you don't want. So can you explain your difference?
Yeah, keeping it safe, keeping it private.
Keeping it safe. So remember, Projector is not social media. Projector is almost like private vault storage. So if any of you have a Dropbox account or a iCloud or a Google Drive account, you pretty much believe that that's a private cloud-based storage solution where you put stuff in there and no one gets it. In many ways, Projector is that same way. When you put stuff in Projector, it's not public to anyone. We don't review it. We don't screen it. We don't look and say, are you using copyrighted songs because you put together a beautiful, reflection video? If there's, a 1 and 2 year old in the bathtub, I know that sounds weird to say, but people have those videos and YouTube may block it because YouTube is social media. We don't look at it. In fact, we can't even look at our clients after they create a Projector account, which almost has caused us some problems when we try and help people problem solve. We can't go into their account. Your account is private. And when you share it, you choose specifically, can anyone see it? And if they can, what videos in your Projector account can they see? This is incredibly private storage. Only, if you think about like Netflix, there's no liking, no commenting, there's no really sharing. It's just you view movies. That's what Projector is for your home movies. I hope that hit what you asked.
Yeah, go ahead.
So there's no way then if you do a Google search and someone does a Google search and they're looking for my kid's graduation. I don't know why anyone would be searching that, but if they did, if I had put it on YouTube, they'd likely be able to find it, even with certain privacy restrictions there. But is there any way if somebody just does that search that they could come across people's Projector videos?
No, there's no way they can do it. Something that people have asked, and I would almost love your feedback. Maybe that'll be fun for the audience to hear. Give me some suggestions because I am open to them. Some people said, Robert, I understand it's private, but I do have this really cool 5-minute video of my son playing, lacrosse. Can you give me a link like YouTube does so I could just upload it to Projector, but also share it on a text message? And theoretically, we can easily do that. But then we're crossing into, are we YouTube or are we Projector? Are we the YouTube viewing experience or are we the Netflix viewing experience? I still believe we could do it privately, Allison, where no one would be able to find it or see it because we do not allow that. So the answer to your question is no, they cannot Google and find any of Susan or Allison's videos on Projector. But we could do some additional things like those links, but I'm really kind of tossed in that. I really just want to stay that private family experience. For my family, all 4 kids were home, during Christmas break last year. And it was so fun just to pop open, the remote and start watching our home movies. And maybe I should just keep it that and not try and be everything for everybody. I don't think I need to be. There's 7 billion people on the planet. Not everything's going to fit everybody.
That's an interesting thing because people are their own worst enemies with privacy. And so I have very mixed feelings about that. If you were to create an ability to, create the link that you can share out, I have found that most people that have issues with their stuff getting out there where they don't want it to be almost always stems from something that they did. So and we're just thinking off the cuff here. We didn't talk about this in advance, but I don't know. I'd probably keep it without that.
There's other ways to share. I don't think you should cross that.
I'm so with you.
DMARC line.
With a young celebrity who had some photos stolen from her iPhone account. I can't remember if it was like a Lindsay Lohan or a Jennifer Aniston, somebody. And it became real public because they had some pretty risque photos. I started this to solve the home movie viewing problem. Watch home movies on our TV with a remote control, just like Netflix. All of a sudden, I'm in a world where what if celebrities start using Projector and their photos get leaked out because we opened the door too much? And all of a sudden it's, hey, Projector, a Projector employee even saw that some young actress had some compromising photos and we leaked it. That's why our engineers can't even see our clients' content, which is kind of wild because it also makes it hard to troubleshoot. But I've entered this world of privacy that I didn't think in the beginning. And I don't want anyone coming to us and saying, boy, you guys were really negligent. And it's a tough world, as you can imagine. It's a tough world. This is a tough one.
Again, with what Allison stated, as photo managers, we have in front of us a lot of people's personal content all the time. That's what our job is to go through their personal collection of physical media and digital media and help them organize it, curate it, and then figure out where it's going to live long term. We want to make sure it gets backed up. And then we also want to make sure and try and ensure that their family for future generations has access to it. So I would say, we have to also look as photo managers at the company's privacies. What are the terms and conditions you're agreeing to, so that we can, one of the things that people always say is, well, now how can I share what you did with my family? That's usually the first question after I get done, right? And then I have to evaluate all the different options, all the different tools, all software, keep their hardware and configurations that they have. Are they Windows and iPhone? Are they Android and Apple? What are their configurations? How are they going to interact with it? And then figure out the best way. So if somebody does buy a Projector account and they upload these videos, the way that you share with your family, they don't have to buy the Projector app, right? You can invite them to your account, and then you can put them in a family group, or you can whatever. But there's a lot of choices that you get to make about how you share once they have their own free account, and you invite them to be collaborator. I don't know if that's the term you use. Is that? I think it is. Yeah. And so that limits it because it's by email address and account.
Correct. And I like to keep things simple. So hopefully for the audience, this is good. If you have a smart TV, meaning you're somehow watching, let's just say Netflix on your TV, there's about 6 or 7 of the most popular streaming devices that we have in the States. Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Google TV, Samsung. If you have a Samsung TV, which is the most popular TV in the United States, they have their own app store. So we have developed the Projector app to work on all those. So if you create a Projector account, it's just installing our app on that smart TV that you're already using, log in, like Susan said, with your username and password, which is usually your email and your password, and you could watch. If now you share that with a family member, literally all they need to do is put the Projector app on their, let's just say they have a Roku, on their Roku or Apple TV streaming device. They log in with their account that they created, just like they logged into Netflix the first time, and now they're watching those videos. And what you said about, I want to just go there, and I hope this doesn't, sound salesy. I'm trying to merely explain the product. If Susan creates a Projector account and she pays subscription, she can upload videos. She can share it with 50 people, and those people can all watch Susan's videos for free. The only time we're going to charge them a subscription is if all of a sudden they say, this is so cool that Susan has this. I want my videos on our smart TV, and I want to share them with other family and friends, and then they have to pay. So we do not charge people who just want to watch. But we do charge if you want to, I guess, call it hosting. And I hope that helps.
Yeah, they're different use cases. So when I mentioned earlier that I had done this for my in-laws, they don't have any additional videos. They literally will just be watching ours. So, for them, it makes sense for just to share from our account. But there are others where I could see if they, I don't want other people uploading their videos to my account, even my family, maybe my kids. But I don't want the extended family uploading them into my account. So I think that's where the difference is. I think you explained it very well. But yeah, when you have people that you're literally, especially the grandparents, a lot of times you're just giving them things. You're not also receiving.
That's exactly how I operate my account as well, Allison.
Yeah. So I don't want to get too techie, but that's my background. So I'm going to ask you some of the more techie questions that we lined up, meaning what kind of formats can work in your software? Is there a size limit to the size of the video? And how many videos can I have?
Great
Upload.
question. So I had to, obviously, I understand technology. I've had some success in my life monetizing technology, but it's not like I actually do the nuts and bolts. I don't build the box. I don't do coding. I have to outsource that to smart people who can actually do that. And my tech team has huge ego. They will always say to me, anything's possible. No size limit too big. No format we can't take. You know, they always say that. And then, of course, we run into issues and they're like, well, we'll debug it and we'll figure it out. So what we realized is that while they will still say there's no file format too big, we actually, I have a partner who is a professional video and photo manager named Becky Ball. And Becky said, Robert, I think we should publish some kind of standards for people to follow, because no one has ever created a standards in this video transfer industry before. And so I looked at Becky and said, well, then why not you? You're the smartest person I know with this. Why don't you write an article? We have a help center on our website, which is projectorstream.com. We have a help center. I said, write a video streaming standards article, and then that will become the industry standard. Why not? Elon Musk did the same thing for electric vehicles. He came out with a standard for the plug-in. Why can't Becky Ball become the standard for video streaming standards? So she wrote this incredible article that's in our help center where we recommend bitrate and codec and file formats and max size. So we put the max size as 3 gigabytes. Now, my ego-based tech team will say they could do 7 gigs, 9 gigs, 20 gigs. We don't care. But the reality is, moving a file over 3 gigabytes, that's a lot of data, and there's just no reason for it. We've had people who took a video from 1995. There was a 2-hour video transfer tape. When they converted it originally, and they did a great job as an MP4 file, it was a 2 gigabyte file. They want to use Projector, and they thought, well, I'm going to put it through my video editing software, and I'm going to make it an HD file, or I'm going to make it a 4K file. First of all, they did not improve the video quality at all, but the HD file was 8 gigabytes and
Yikes.
the 4K was 23 gigabytes. I took those files that this person did. I tried to put them up in YouTube. Didn't work. Maybe it would if I would have waited 9 more days, but it didn't work. And I tried it with other services too. So we actually have a full video streaming standards that I can go into when it comes to bitrate and codec and all that stuff, but it's all published there by a true expert, which is Becky Ball, who's one of my partners in Projector. And we really do a good job of explaining what you should and shouldn't do to do it right. I'm just someone who likes to keep things easy and keep things simple. And Becky did a nice job with that.
Yeah, you also won't see a difference. You know, I will often make video files smaller before I load them up, because on your TV, even on the big TV, you're not going to be able to tell the difference, especially with those older videos. And the older videos are the ones that are super important to get into something like Projector, just to do something with. I actually did a blog post a few months ago on how long do those formats last? And the answer is not very long. I mean, unless you happen to be keeping those old VHS tapes and camcorder tapes in a, temperature controlled, humidity controlled environment, they're not going to last. And I see that when I convert them all the time. So anybody out there listening, if you have old tapes, take care of them now. And whether you put them in Projector or something else, do it now, because, VHS was big in the 80s and 90s. And this will make me feel old, and probably Susan and Robert too, but the 80s were like 44 years ago, 1980s. So let's take care of them and get them up there.
And they say they could start losing their quality and life 10 years into it. And imagine not only, Allison, the environmental protection issues, but floods, fires, just being thrown away accidentally. Get those digitized in a safe place.
Yeah, or taped over. I will say I get a lot of VHS tapes. And, the outside says Susie's graduation, 1987. And, we'll start recording and it's Susie's graduation. And then it's the Super Bowl or something in the middle, or like, I don't know, some TV show that they've taped over.
A General Hospital and a
daytime soap operas. I've seen those come across my path as well. Yeah, it's heartbreaking, isn't it? So can Projector be used as a backup? That's a good question.
It's a great question. I'm trying to keep this simple and short as best I can. I wasn't out to become an archiving storage solution. Now, everything on Projector sits in what is the best cloud service provider I believe it exists, which is Amazon Web Services or AWS. To give you a feel, most large companies now do not run their own servers and data center rooms.
No, it's
Netflix
not.
on AWS,
Yeah.
Airbnb, AWS. The list goes on forever. And Microsoft has a good one, and Google has a good product too. AWS, without partnering with them, Projector wouldn't have been possible because of what they've already built that I didn't have to recreate, which would have only cost me millions more to do. So yes, if you put a file up with Projector, is it in our cloud, which is AWS? Is it protected in so many ways you can imagine in multiple locations? Yes. But that's not what we were trying to do. You had to put it in our cloud so you can then use your TV remote and stream it the way you watch Netflix. So it is a backup, but I tell everybody, professional photo managers have this incredible philosophy that I didn't know I was adhering to. Their 3-2-1 backup. I don't think you should look at Projector as part of that. Look at it as like a keepsake. If you uploaded a photo to a website because they make photo album books, yeah, that photo now comes into the book. But you don't download it off the book. And look at Projector the same way. It's almost like a keepsake like that. But yes, it is backup. But there's so many great products. If you talk about Mylio, Permanent, Forever, some of these other ones, that's what they do. We're
Right.
just that viewing experience. And we've talked to those players about doing creative integrations where you already have your stuff stored with Mylio, you can project it onto Projector. And I'm hoping that those things come to fruition because I think we complement each other. But if any of those companies wanted to focus on what we do, or if we wanted to focus on developing what they do, we would all do a bad job on everything. So we're just specializing on that streaming issue and what we've figured out, whether it's dealing with a Roku, whether it's dealing with file formats, we've come a long way that people would be years from if they try to duplicate it. So don't look at us as a permanent long-term storage. I think there's better choices than us for that.
Great. And that's why I wanted to bring that out because we want to make sure people are backing up and keeping that in mind, that yours is more like a digital frame on steroids.
Yes. And I love digital frames. And I don't think we compete with digital frames, but it is like on steroids. Absolutely. My
Okay.
wife's not going to watch, my daughter being born from 1997 on a digital frame. So
Right.
they all have their place.
So I was not there, but Allison went to Visual First last year. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh yeah, that was super exciting. So when we went and, Visual First is a big tech conference in San Francisco, the newest and greatest and most interesting apps and applications of all sorts of things. But they do this thing where, they recognize the best and the brightest. And I was super excited to be there, Robert, when you won the special recognition award for Projector.
So to me, I'm gonna make a lot of fun of myself right now. So here's this, dorky middle-aged guy with 4 grown children from Cleveland, Ohio, who has a tech startup idea. And the first time that they announced who's going to be presenting, they gave everybody 4 minutes. There were 30 tech startups invited. They gave us all 4 minutes. And the first time a couple months before, they put out a kind of a profile and pictures of everybody. And it's all these good-looking young millennials doing their fancy posts. And I know this not video, but I'll do it for you guys to make you laugh,
Oh,
all that. And then there's me in my suit and my headshot from 2018, when I was in corporate America. And I'm presenting against 29 young kids. Now, when we actually got there, some of the people were probably closer to my age than I realized.
Not very many. Not very many. And I will say this too, they were all a lot younger and most of them were men. But it was like a whole different language.
Yeah, a lot of men, but there were some pretty impressive women, I thought, too, who presented this stuff.
We need to get more. That's my little plug.
I couldn't agree with you more, particularly since they're just smarter than men. So they should be more. I have 2 sons and 2 daughters. I have a case study. Trust me. I used to tell my wife when the kids were little, if those 2 boys out earn those 2 girls, there's no justice in the world because the girls are just so much smarter and cleaner and all the other positive attributes of human beings. But
I will say when you got up there for your 4 minutes, I was looking around the room and I already knew you and we had already talked and I had seen your demo. I'd heard you do this before. everybody was paying attention when you were up there. I mean, you could literally see minds being blown in the room. So I was not at all surprised when you won that award.
And I'm not out to bash anyone else, but I practiced a lot, obviously. I didn't use notes. Usually when I public speak, I don't use notes. And this is more of a lesson for people out there who you have to speak. Practice 1,000 times so you don't notes. And because it's 4 minutes, and they told us it's going to be a hard cutoff at 4, I cut mine down to 3 minutes and 15 seconds. And I probably practiced it 50 times at 3 minutes and 15 seconds. When you're there live in front of 250 people, and by the way, the judges are Google, Adobe, Intel, pretty scary people, right? Doing it live, I was 3 minutes and 45 seconds. So somehow 30 seconds of filler, without saying the word a lot, which I don't think I did. So you have to practice. And what's amazing, and I'm not trying to bash anyone, I would say 90% of the people got cut off at 4 minutes.
And they really got cut off. It was kind of like the Oscars when the music comes on.
Yes.
They didn't cut
were getting warnings. I never
close.
got one warning, and I ended it, I was, but that's just more about, I tell people it's a superpower to be able to get up in front of a room and talk, and you could only get that superpower by experience. So,
and so what
7 years old, I had a little bit of advantage over some of those millennial Gen Zer people.
So tell me, what does that recognition, what is that about, and how does that help you?
Well, I mean, to show up in, people from Palo Alto and San Francisco, tech execs, but also from a lot of photography and video industry in that room. And they invite 30 tech startups, which I think Allison would agree. I think at least 22 of the 30 had some kind of AI component, because that was the cool thing to talk about. I wasn't trying to deal with some cool new AI technology, whether people want or not. I'm trying to solve a problem of watching home movies. And I think what I did resonated with that room. They weren't thinking about what's the cool new thing that's going to drive the stock market for the next 10 years, which is AI. They were thinking about, oh, yeah, I have home movies. Oh my gosh, it isn't easy to watch them. Wow, I have a Roku or I have an Apple TV and I stream everything. I'm a cord cutter. Particularly people out there, they do things way before we do over here in the Midwest. So having that validation from that room was wonderful. What was great is that so many people that I still have relationships with and are trying to help Projector came up to me after my presentation with some pretty impressive companies. And now we have, it exposed me to them. Exposed them to me. It exposed me to this ecosystem of venture capital people and developers. And I now can chat with the head of Google engineering, Google Photos, the senior engineer of Google Photos, and we can chat with each other. So that was great. And then they only awarded 4 of the 30. So whatever my award was called, which is straight up there, by the way.
I had to look it up. It was the Special Recognition Award.
Whatever it was, didn't matter, is that they acknowledged that of those 30 people, they saw some value in Projector. And that's what it meant for me. The funny thing is I flew out to San Francisco in a backpack. That's how I travel when I'm not traveling with my family. And
he's going to get his backpack.
From getting this award to the airport. Imagine putting, and for those of you who can't see, this looks like, a hard sphere. This is something that you see in Braveheart, during the war scenes. It's a long, thin, loose side pointed thing that you could definitely hurt someone. Can you imagine me trying to get this on the plane? So I had to go from the event and I went to a FedEx office and it cost me $60 to ship this because I wasn't going to have it confiscated by TSA. So
yeah, I didn't even think about that.
That was smart. Good thinking. Yes. Well, we just want to say congratulations on that. Just again, the acknowledgement of you're doing something right, clearly.
Thank you.
So talk to us about price for Projector. What does it cost? What does it include? And you also recently reduced the price, which is extremely unusual. So talk to us about all that.
So for those of you who either are interested in entrepreneurship or are an entrepreneur, which a lot of people in your field really are entrepreneurs, sometimes you have this great idea and you don't have all the answers and you're going with a leap of faith. So I literally had no idea what many of the cost components would be of doing something like this. I really didn't understand how much it would cost to develop it. But then you have, not to get too accounting technical, but cost of goods sold. So what's it going to cost me to store all these files? What's it going to cost me? Let's just say that Susan puts up a 2-hour videotape on Projector, and she has 49 friends, and all 50, Susan and the 49 friends are going to stream this 2-hour tape every day, all day at 50 locations. What's the cost of that? Versus maybe she uploads it and no one ever watches it. And then there's this technical term called transcoding. And what transcoding is, you have a 2-hour videotape, but it has to become streamable. Everything on Netflix is streamable. So we have to convert it. That actually ended up being the biggest cost of all of those cost components. So when I went into this, I knew I couldn't charge $1,000 a month. No one's going to buy this product. At $1,000 a year, maybe I'll sell 10 people this product because they think it'd be so cool. At $500 a year, maybe I'd sell 100 people. And at $100 a year, maybe I'd sell 100,000 people. But I didn't understand those costs. So we didn't just do an incredible job. And this is going to blow away the minds of a lot of people that maybe think they compete with me or do similar type of things. We did such a good job engineering getting those 3 costs under control, to the point that we are now charging $79 a year, and my margins are extremely healthy to make this business sustainable. I could never have imagined that. And once we got those components under control, we thought, okay, well, we were at $129. Let's wait a year because people might think that comes off as weird or desperate. And I'm thinking, no. Let's make this affordable now because we could do it. The third thing that we just completed, which we completed in February, was that transcoding piece. And what we did, I'm telling you, this will sound big ego and very cocky. We pulled off a miracle in getting those costs down to almost literally zero. And that was my biggest cost component when I realized what I was getting into 2 years ago, starting to build this thing. So once we got that under control, we lowered it because I don't want it in 100,000 families. I want it in millions of families. So we took $79 a year for a simple reason. I'm just personally annoyed with another $9.99 a month and $15.99 a month and $13.99 a month. Keep it simple. Maybe someday we will roll out a monthly fee, but it's about $6 a month to have your own Netflix anywhere, anytime. And those movies finally get to be watched. They don't just sit on a text from 4 years ago or on your hard drive or your Google Drive. So that's why I did all that. That I couldn't be more open about it. And it's fascinating because of all the things we've done with Projector. I think getting our costs under control is by far the most impressive. And that's something that no one ever sees.
I was blown away.
Yeah.
That you reduced your price and so quickly within your production, calendar. So, when you look at other companies that you can pay for video storage, it's not private. Typically, it's often larger companies, and you run the risk of how private, even though you're paying for your own private account, how private is it? And are they using your data now to train AI? You have no idea. And so you don't do that, do you?
No.
Okay.
That's a good
and
question.
then
Again, Susan, if you wanted to show me your account, you'd have to show it to me or give me your login credentials. I can't even see it. And I own this company.
And so that's a good point. And then a lot of these other companies, like I was just explaining to you, if you have a Prime account, you can upload original photos to Amazon for free. But where they get you, you only can upload 5 gigabytes of video, and then you have to pay. And I'm trying to get my videos out of there because I'm being charged now a very large amount. And so a lot of that stuff doesn't need to be out there. It needs to be backed up somewhere, but I can back it up now through Mylio. So, the direction that you've taken this is great. And I hope that our audience, our listeners are seeing the value in it, because we sure do.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I'd say to your clients, your viewers who are consumers, right? There's this game that I didn't know. I had never been in a product like this, a subscription service, a global consumer product like this that's software and cloud-based. The game is you give someone something for free, you give them a little bit, and you try and convert them to a paid customer. And I wasn't trying to play that game. I'm just trying to solve a home viewing problem. Now I got to play this game where I got to lure people in for free somehow through a Facebook or Instagram ad. And then I've got to get them to use it more so they'll eventually want to pay. I mean, my brain was going to explode. I'm like, do you want your own Netflix or not? And if you do, you pay. And if you don't, don't. And I know maybe I'm wrong. And maybe I think the venture capital Wall Street people probably think that I'm doing this all wrong and I'm not playing the game that Dropbox did, who's very successful. And Facebook has been able to generate revenue by first giving away for free. But I'm really not playing that game. And maybe I'm wrong for it, or maybe someone else is smarter than me will eventually take over Projector and they'll figure out a way to get this more to the masses because I'm not that smart with it. But I'm just trying to be honest and solve a problem. And what I love, this is absolutely incredible. Again, I didn't know the photo managers existed. In fact, when your last guest, Paul, was on his episode, he talked about when Apple created iPhotos, which became Photos, there were no photo managers. That product came out over 22 years ago. And now there are, but they were building it for the end user. Because I found out about the photo managers, I've actually built this product because I believe the best people I could work with are people like professional photo managers. Well, I know we have some clients who are just direct end users, DIYers who found us. I believe the best scenarios for people to find a local photo manager, go on the photo manager's website, find someone locally and talk to them about Projector, because having a professional is just a different game changer. So I didn't know it existed before, but I'm thrilled I did. And I love the organization. I feel like as an end user, as a client, I'm with like-minded people because I am that one person in my family who either chose this way or got stuck with all the home videos and photos. I'm the keeper. But it's an amazing organization with just great people who truly care about families, videos, and other precious documents and memories and other things.
We do care about all these things. I will say, I've said this before on this show, is that you do want to keep your stuff in a place you have to pay for, honestly, because the free sites just get you into trouble. They have no skin in the game. They have no promises to you that they need to keep. I mean,
and if it's free, you're the product.
Yeah,
meaning
we've seen it
they're
over and
taking
over again.
advantage of your information somehow and reselling it. So
yeah, I mean, I get that question a lot. I have people emailing me or calling me or whatever and saying, what's a free option for me to keep all this stuff in for the sports team? And I said, well, there's some out there, but I wouldn't use them, and I'm not going to recommend them to you because I don't think they're safe. I don't know what they're doing with your stuff. And they don't have to be safe. They don't have to keep it in any way, shape, or form. They don't have to keep it there so that you can get it back later. They don't have to do any of those things. So I for when a product is good, like yours, it is worth every penny to pay for. And I mean, I had it on this weekend. My brother and sister-in-law were in town for a couple of days, and my sister-in-law pulled up a video that we were laughing about, and she mirrored it from her iPhone. Because she doesn't have Projector yet. Now I may need to give a gift for something coming up. We'll see. But, she's kind of searching around and looking for the same thing. And then I was like, oh, here, take a look at this one. Again, of my kid who's about to graduate. I keep talking about this. But I put it on so easily, and it was just on the TV. And then we started doing something else, and I had not turned it off. And I realized they were all playing in a row. So everybody was just looking at the TV every once in a while and laughing. I mean, it's a great service to have it there. Okay, but we're getting towards the end because we always over talk. We could literally talk to everybody we have on for hours. But let me ask, I've changed our signature question just a little bit for you. Usually ask, what is the strangest photo in your collection? But tell us what the strangest video in your collection is, and is it on Projector?
It is on Projector in my account. It's really mean. So can we handle some meanness?
Wait, is this worse than your wife in the bathroom on her honeymoon?
Yes. Well, depends. It does involve my wife. So I'm on a golf trip about 8 years ago. And by the way, my wife finds this funny. And I think your audience will not lose total respect for me for saying this. I'm on a golf trip. I'm down in Naples, Florida with a bunch of guys. We're 8 guys, 2 guys, 4 in each car. And my phone rings on the way to the golf course from my wife. Now, this is what she says verbatim. And my wife's an unintentionally funny person. My kids say she's the funniest person on the planet, and she doesn't try to be funny. She says to me, the garage door broke, and it's not my fault. The garage door broke. It's not my fault. And I'm sitting there. I'm in the front passenger seat. I'm thinking, okay, she clearly broke the garage door. I had just installed one of those brand new Nest cameras in the garage, so I could tell if the garage was up or not. So I go to the camera.
Uh-oh.
And I could play the video if you guys want to see it, but your audience won't see it. I just start crying because she plowed her minivan right into the garage as she's pulling out. I capture 16 seconds from the Nest app and I send it to her. And the text is, I think I figured it out. And I sent her the 16 seconds of her smashing into the garage, and she took the garage out. And her answer was it my fault? So I show that video to everybody. She laughs. It's the best video I've ever had. And it's my favorite video. I don't know if it's strangest, but it's my favorite video I have.
Well, anytime anybody starts with, it's not my fault, it's literally their fault.
Yes.
Always.
But it's not, Allison. This is not her fault. And she's made it very clear to me. So that's just how it is.
Well, the wife is always correct.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Well, this has been great. I've had some good laughs and I've enjoyed our conversation, and I hope it has been informative for our audience as well about this product, because like we started, we both love it, and it has a great viewing experience that you can just sit back and reflect on those videos. I love it when I can pull up. Both of my parents have passed on at this point, and it's been years. And so, I love to turn it on and hear my mom laughing as she's playing with her grandkids, in her yard in Hawaii, and it just immediately brings you back to that moment, and it's awesome. So thanks for having our memories come back alive. Just like a movie on our TVs.
Well, thank you. And I'm a big fan of your podcast. So I love when they hit and I get to listen to a new episode.
Well, thank you. And we'll put all of the links to Projector and to Robert into our show notes so that if you are listening and you want to check it out, you can. And thank you so much for coming. This was so great. I learned something every time I talk to you. We've met several times now. Yeah. Always a good time.
Oh, absolutely.
So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, both of you.
So, Allison, again, another great conversation. I love talking to him. He's not only funny, but just personable. And he really is coming from this pure heart of wanting to take his idea and share it with others. He's got this passion to ensure that people are saving their videos and trying to make it as easy as possible to enjoy it across your family members. So I just find his product to be a great new addition to my collection of products.
And we try everything. I swear to God, I feel like we try everything out there. Oh, look, here's something new. That's kind of neat. But not everything sticks.
No.
And this one sticks, I think, because, well, two reasons. One, it's very easy. Once everything is up there, it's so easy. Anybody can use it. My in-laws can use it without trouble. If you can use, like he said, if you can use a remote control, you can use it. But the other reason I really like it is Robert and his company are so open to feedback. So I don't think I realized just how new Projector was when he came to our conference in 2023. It looked a little more developed than that to me at the time. But I do know that he has worked with a lot of photo managers over the last year to take our feedback into account, to make things easier, to make the product more enjoyable for clients. And I just really respect that. He's interested in making it better and listening. And like we said at the beginning, he's not a sponsor of this show. He's just a nice guy with a product that both of us really, really liked. And we both use too. The graduation video that I'm finishing up for my kid is going to go up there. And that's how I'm going to project it on Projector during our graduation celebrations. And then I'm going to share it with my in-laws who won't be able to be with us on that day. And it's just so easy for them.
Yeah.
So it really is a great product.
Well, and the fact that he reduced his entry point in the dollar amount, once he figured out and things settled, on his end, he was able to make it more affordable. That to me blew my mind, so it tells me his integrity on the back end of, sure, he needs to make money. He needs to keep ensuring development moving forward, because that's important. But he also wants to make it, like he said, available to the everyday family users. So if you've got even one family member that can afford to do this, then they can share it out with others.
Yeah, it is really interesting. I don't think people realize, and why would you? Because you're not thinking about it on a regular basis, but just how much these things cost to develop.
Oh, yeah.
And to run. And he did explain that a bit. And that is why, again, I don't trust anything that says they'll keep your stuff for free, because why would they? Think about all the costs that they pay. So yeah, I found that fascinating when I learned that he was dropping the price because he was able to drop his costs. And yes, he is a business, and yes, businesses need to make money. But when he was able to drop his costs, he's able to pass that along to the consumer. And that is really refreshing. So
right.
Anyway, as he mentioned, Projector, you can do it on your own. It's easier if you have a photo manager help you. So we will put the links to that in the show notes, and, reach out if you want to give it a try.
Yes, we'll be happy to help you there. It's a lot. And if you're not familiar with how, video works and how to convert it and upload it and organize your projector, that's what our background is in. So lovely. All right. So we're going to move on. We have a listener question. We appreciate those. Again, if you are listening to us and you have a question about any of our episodes or something we haven't talked about yet, please hop out to insidephotoorganizing.com and click on the resources menu. And the actual link says send us your question. Apologies. So hop out to the send us your questions menu item, and you'll find a form there. Pop your question in there and we'll get it and potentially respond live during one of our future podcast recordings. So this one comes in from Connie Nicklin, and she's reaching out to us from Edgewater, Florida. Although we don't know where in the world she is right now, because her question starts out, I am a full-time RVer, and we sold our sticks and bricks house and storage. Weight especially is an issue when you're traveling in a small vehicle with an RV. I love my scrapbooks and photo books, but I can't keep them with me in the RV. Do you know of a digital photo book that allows one to view the electronic scrapbook with a page-turning animation? I'm thinking of the preview function in Shutterfly. I would gladly pay for the digital file, but haven't found a place to create or buy something like that. Thanks. I think this is a great question. Allison?
It is a great question. And yes, there is software that you can do that. There's a couple different things you can do. So we've talked before about making a digital file of your photo books anyway, just the digital images. And I do that for all of my books and keep those digitally. But what you're talking about is essentially the ability to sit back with your phone or with a screen and press a button and watch the pages turn, which is really, it has a different feel than opening one file and seeing the page and then going to the next file and seeing the page. It really, really is different to bring them to life in the way that you are talking. So when I do this for clients, that is what we do. We take all of the individual pages that have been scanned and put them together. I use a program called Flip Builder, which you can purchase. And one of the interesting things about this is it allows you to create that book, where a lot of the companies, a lot of the software that I've seen does this. You have to go to their website to see your own book and flip the pages. But Flip Builder actually allows you to create a file so that you own that file. A little bit complicated on the back end, but it does allow you to keep it on your own computer. You do not need internet access. You can go to your computer to Finder or Explorer and click on the link within that and pull up your book and flip through it, just like you can on some of the sites where you can make photo books. When you see a preview, you can flip through your book that way, but you don't own that. And you need internet to get there, and who knows what they're doing with those files later on. This one actually allows you to keep the file on your own desktop, on your own computer or external drive. and do it that way. It's a little bit complicated to do. It's a service I actually offer to my clients, especially those that have me do their books. But certainly possible. And that is one option that you can take a look at. Like I said, I like this particular one called Flip Builder because you can keep the file yourself. You don't need to have it hosted somewhere else.
So I see when I look at their pricing, there's 3 different plans. The starting plan is Flip PDF Plus, and then it goes all the way up to corporate, which of course she doesn't need. So it's based on how many computers you want to run this product on or this software on. And then also there's some other considerations. Which plan would you recommend for her?
I think she can just do the basic Flip PDF Plus. It's currently anyway, as of the taping of this podcast, $129. It's a one-time payment. It's not a subscription. You can use it on one computer. And the add-ons deal with hosting. So if you're doing, say, a lot of books and you want to share them with somebody, the only way to share this, it's a very different kind of file. You can't just text the file to somebody or email the file to somebody. You need to have it hosted somewhere if you want to share it out. So they do offer hosting. I'm just looking now, $99 a year for unlimited. Or if you just have a few books and you create these flip books, you've got 10 books and you want to share them with your family for, I don't know, a month or whatever, it's literally like $1 a book or something. So you don't need to have this ongoing subscription if you don't want to. And that's just for the sharing. You don't need to do that. It's just for sharing. But the file is unusual. It's not a normal type of file. It's not a movie file. You can't just email it. You can't just text it. So if you just want it for yourself, you do not know. So if you make it for yourself, to open the file, you literally go to where the folder where that file is stored and double click it. You do not need the software. So if you wanted to give it to somebody else, you can put it on a hard drive, hand them the drive, and then just tell them which file to open. But if you want to share it like we're used to sharing, like Projector, say, and you want to share it broadly and easily, you do need, like, if you want to be able to share it via the internet with a web and you don't want to hand somebody a drive.
And you have to pay for the hosting.
Some kind of hosting. But
it
is essentially $1 a book a month. So if you, and they can't download it from there. That's literally just to view.
Just to view. Okay. So I just wanted to clarify that she didn't have to install this, say, on a computer that she's traveling with in order to open the file. She could create this at home on her beefy computer that doesn't travel with her, get the files, and then put the files on an iPad or something, or some tablet or smaller laptop, and take those files with her?
Yes and no. I don't think that file would work on an iPad or an iOS device. I'm pretty sure it has to go through a computer because the file itself, and I could be wrong on that, but I am fairly certain that you need to run it from a computer because the file itself, you click on the file, but there's a lot of back-end hidden files behind it to make it work. It's not, what you could do if you really wanted to was take a movie of you flipping your book, and that would be a normal file you could stick on an iPad or something somewhere.
Gotcha.
But I don't think it would work on an iPad or an iPhone. But I tell you what, we will double check that and put the answer in the show notes if it's something different than what I'm saying.
Okay. Well,
so I'm pretty sure you have to have the computer,
but it can be done. Yeah, nice. And then one caveat, which we always like to make mention, she mentioned Shutterfly in her question. So, Connie, we just want to make sure that you're not using Shutterfly as a permanent photo storage solution. We would highly recommend that you get a copy of those images and that you uploaded to Shutterfly and make sure that they're backed up somewhere else.
Yep. As we talked about earlier, you don't want to store your stuff in a free site. It's fine to put them up there if you're going to be ordering a book or ordering some kind of gift. But that should be a set it and forget it, as in if Shutterfly went belly up tomorrow, you don't care because you've got your files somewhere else.
Perfect. All right, Allison, we've done it.
That's
Another
it
one's in the
yeah,
can, as they say.
that's it for this month. And hope you enjoyed it. And, send us your questions, send us your feedback. We love to hear it.
All right. Until next time.
Until next time.
That's it for our show today. Remember, you can find this episode on all of your favorite podcast apps. Be sure to click follow so you can stay up to date with the latest in photo organizing. We'll catch you next month.